What's up, hockey fans? This week we have a very special episode lined up for you. We're going a little off our normal RHI story script and going even further back in roller hockey's history. Today we're honored to be joined by two of roller hockey's most respected pioneers, Wayne Neis and Jimmy Vivona. Not only did they play roller hockey at its highest level, but they laid the foundation for RHI and paved the way for roller hockey's explosion in the 90s as a whole. So we're going to get right into it. Here we go.
Guys, between the two of you, what do you have, like 35 national championships that you've played in?
I'm sure we've been a part of a bunch. I should go, I bet in my closet I have my Bauer Cyclones jersey.
Oh my God.
I know I have my Coasters jersey in there too.
Nice.
I should have brought them. I want you to know, Joe, that my wife, I'll go into telling you a story, but my Coasters team wasn't even her favorite RHI team. She made me order her a Tampa Bay Tritons jersey.
Oh, look at that.
With her name on the back.
Love it.
Is that funny?
That is awesome. That is so good. Yeah.
Jimmy, you got to tell the deeper story so the guys really appreciate why you got the Tritons for.
Oh, I met my wife in Manhattan on a fluke. She was a New York model, and I met her walking down the streets of Manhattan. Like I said, on a total fluke. And when I was talking to her afterwards on the phone, she's asking me like what I did, and I told her, I said, I work on Wall Street, but I just got done playing in this professional roller hockey league that was on Sports Channel. I figured she wouldn't know hockey, and she went, "Oh, really?" She said, "What team did you play for?" I was like, "I played for a team called the Connecticut Coasters," and she said, "You had a black guy on your team," meaning Berkeley Hoagland, which she was right about. She said, "And you had a guy with the regular four-wheel roller skates on your team." I was like, "Whoa, that's me."
That's right.
Right then, I knew that all the other girls' phone numbers had to go in the garbage because I wasn't going to
Yeah.
find a more gorgeous girl that liked hockey so much. And then, we started talking about hockey, and, that 94 season, I think, is when Messier had the Tampa Bay Tritons team. And my wife said, "Well, my favorite team is actually the Tritons." She had gone home from her job in Manhattan, and those games used to be on, I think it was Sports Channel, but then transferred to ESPN. And those games would be on at like 1 in the morning, 2 in the morning. And when she got home, she would throw those games on, to watch. So I thought that was certainly meeting how it was meant to be,
Or
for
Jimmy,
sure.
I don't mean to butt in here, but maybe we should have your wife on and not you.
I'm telling you, she's the better looking one of the two, for sure. So,
I remember telling my wife that
and she loves hockey.
I remember I tell my wife back then in, 87, 80, whatever. I told her I played hockey. She goes, "Oh, okay, ice." Yeah. I go, "No, roller." And then I travel. He goes, "Wait a minute. You travel playing roller hockey?" I'm like, "Sure do." So, you're still with me,
Yeah.
so I guess I did something right.
Well, I say that all the time, Wayne. These kids today, they have no idea what it was like for us older guys playing roller hockey. I mean, New York roller hockey was something that was played in schoolyards.
Yep.
I mean, my mom got me playing roller hockey at the age of 3 because, as I was telling Steve earlier, we had no access to ice hockey. It wasn't like there were ice hockey rinks all over the place in the early 1970s in New York.
Absolutely.
I always argue that ice hockey only became popular in the United States like around the time you're talking, Wayne, like in 1988 when Gretzky got traded to the LA Kings in August of 88.
Yeah.
Before that, we were playing in schoolyards. We were playing on the streets of New York.
Yes, sir.
So that's what roller hockey
Yes.
was for us.
I could-
These kids
yeah.
today, they play on sport courts. They have no idea what it was, even in the league, to wait a whole week to play a roller hockey game, and then it gets rained out. You can't play. These kids, they don't have those concerns nowadays.
Well,
couldn't
Jimmy,
tell you how many miles I
you
skated.
had it lucky. You had a rink. Wayne, what did you play on?
We played in schoolyards, streets, and roller rinks, but I couldn't tell you how many miles I skated by myself, skating to the schoolyard, to that schoolyard, and we'd have
Yeah.
on 2 games. We played roller hockey in schoolyards. constantly.
That's what it was.
Yeah.
And so many great memories. I always say, roller hockey. The traditional roller hockey is what Wayne and I are talking about. Like, I'll say, as I started to grow up a little bit and got into my late teens, I'll argue to my death that the best roller hockey league in the country was the Fort Hamilton Roller Hockey League in Brooklyn, New York. It was insanely rough. Matter of fact, Joey Mullen played there, Hall of Fame NHL
Yeah.
player.
Yeah.
Brian Mullen,
Yep.
his brothers.
Wow.
Yeah. But
Wow.
it was an extremely tough league. Matter of fact, this is how nuts it was. Before I started playing there, the league was there, I believe, since the 1940s, I believe.
Wow.
They once landed a helicopter on the middle of the rink, a police helicopter, because of all the fights that broke out, not only on the rink, but the surrounding fans that came. It
Wow.
was like,
Love it.
it was almost like a jail type atmosphere when the games got intense.
Love it.
Ron's Roller World, Wayne.
Goodness. Skateland, Ron's Roller World.
Skateland, yeah, right.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Ours wasn't
Yeah.
there. But we didn't play any checking back in the day because, like I was telling Joe earlier, that we're playing with center block walls and support beams. So really, no checking. It was physical, but there's actually
Yeah.
physical checking. But you have
Is-
to have physical strength to play.
Well, Wayne, every roller rink had bars at about
Exactly.
hip height,
Yeah.
for people to hold on to that couldn't
Yeah.
skate.
Yeah.
You don't want to check anybody into there because you're going
Always keep
wheels
your head
up.
up. Yes. Absolutely.
See, that's what made Fort Hamilton so famous and really iconic in New York. Like I was talking to Steve, like about the Rucker League in basketball, which is in Manhattan.
Yeah.
Fort Hamilton was the roller hockey version of that.
Oh my goodness.
It was so, it was like hollowed grounds being able to play on that rink. If you could play in the Fort Hamilton rink in Brooklyn, New York, you were tough enough to play because you were going to fight. I mean, I swear, I had one guy tell me before the game, it was like a scene from Slapshot. He pointed his stick at my face and
shit.
told me he was going to blind me that day,
Oh,
right?
man.
And I absolutely believed him. Another guy, they threatened to shoot me. I'll shoot you. It was, but yet they were like really good hockey players. But I can't tell you how many guys who I thought were really good hockey players that came to Fort Hamilton, and all of a sudden they played 1 or 2 games at Fort Hamilton in the exhibition games,
Mhm.
and all of a sudden they had to work on the weekends because they didn't, they just didn't want to be in that atmosphere,
Yeah, if I got to
So
work too, got to feed your family.
yeah, they got scared out of the league. Wayne is what
I
it
bet.
was.
Yeah. Heck yeah. Too funny.
So a lot of great memories, and I think we're seeing the sport today. These kids incredibly talented with their hands. I mean, I
Yes.
go through the kids like John Chavo, who is he does all those trick shots that you've seen him on the NHL channel.
Mhm.
When I was like at the very end of my playing career, I had actually retired for a few years, and my best friend Anthony Flynn, was managing a rink called Skate Safe in Long Island, New York.
That's where we play,
And
man. All my games
he
out there.
said, Jimmy, you got to come back. This is when I was still living in Brooklyn. He said, you have to come play with this kid, John Chavo. And, I put on some weight. I was having my children were, with my wife. So it was like a sympathetic pregnancy. I had to gain weight too for it. But I came back and I played with this kid, John Chavo, who at the time was 15 years old. And I looked at my best friend, Anthony Flynn, after the game. I was like, oh, you son of a gun. I said, now you're going to have to make me get in shape. I have to get in shape to be able to play with this kid because he's so good. But, the things that these kids, the new generation kids are able to do with their hands, the creativity is, it's fun to watch. So I think, seeing the different eras of roller hockey, I really hope that it continues to grow and get bigger and really expand and get the audience it deserves. So I love what you guys are doing, Steve and Joe. You know, it's really great for the sport. It's fun to watch.
It's really good to
Wayno,
hear that some of these former or current NHL players played roller hockey. Like, of course, Pat Maroon. There's a couple I have on my list here that played for the Blast, played roller hockey, and then made it to D1 or they played professional ice hockey. That's quite a feat. It's a testament to roller hockey where for your hands and keep your head up or it's part of the game. It's all hands. You can go outside, play anytime.
It really shows the coaches of yesteryear. If you remember Wayne, you know, Steve, Vince, years ago, ice hockey coaches would tell people, don't play roller hockey. They would tell the kids, don't play roller hockey. Worst thing for you. And meanwhile, if you ask Patty Maroon, matter of fact, when Patty played in Florida a couple of years ago, my son and I went to go see him after the game. I mean, you're right, Wayne. That's a perfect example of a guy who is not a great skater and has 3 Stanley Cups.
Yes.
One of the things that Patty did incredibly well is he had great hands. He always made the right play. His hands were so soft for a big guy, and he was able to carve out an incredible career in the NHL. And I will argue that that stems from his roller hockey
And
experience.
he stood up for
you
his
know,
teammates.
Jimmy,
What's
we've
that?
got
He
a
stood up for his teammates.
Jimmy, we've got a long list of St. Louisans, like Wayne was talking about, of players who played in all right. I mean, the Stasnys, the Kachucks. I mean, you can go on and on with these guys that grew up in the same ecosystem that we did and excelled in roller hockey, but it was pretty much that was their fun.
Yeah.
Ice hockey was their serious, but they developed their skills and they developed their skating and they developed their hands and their hockey sense by playing roller hockey.
And Steve, you know what? A guy you know well, the former commissioner of Roller Hockey International, Ralph Backstrom, he may be one of the first guys to ever do it. This is a guy that won, I think it's a bizarre number, like 11 Stanley Cups. And he once said that for his training, he was on roller skates in the summertime when he was a player, and
one
this
of
is
the
going
first-
back to the 60s and the
Oh my
you
goodness.
know and the 70s, I'm sure. So
Jimmy,
you
you're
know,
right.
ahead of his time.
When he was with the LA Sharks in the WHA, he was on one of the very first, I don't know, retail pair of inline skates that were being sold by Maury Silver, who later owned the Anaheim Bullfrogs. And Ralph, to this day, you know, I mean, unfortunately he's passed, but, you know, up until his later years, he was always proclaiming how inline skating not only helped maintain his hockey career, but helped give the inspiration for roller hockey. And you guys are the embodiment of one of his favorite sayings, which was, everybody to the street address can now play hockey, you know, with the popularity of inline hockey. And you guys, you know, all 5 of us really embody that comment.
I couldn't tell you how many times my dad's told me to stop shooting a hockey puck off the siding. Not once, I'm talking 100 times.
Not covered by insurance, Wayne.
What's that?
It's not covered by insurance.
No. I was always shooting pucks, hitting the siding.
It's too low for hail damage.
Yeah.
You knew not to park on our street. Yeah. It was just, if you were parking there, you were getting hit with a puck or a ball. Like I lived on a really long street, and there must have been everyone like was having kids at the same time. So there was like 20 kids, all the exact same age. You'd get home from school, you'd throw your backpack down, pick up your stick, just go out in the streets, bang your stick. 20 kids would come out. You got the net in the middle of the road, you know, car, like you got to move it as they're coming. But like, you knew if you parked on our street, you're getting, you're leaving it dead.
That sounds like the type of street where your car insurance goes higher with your address there.
Hey, Wayne, tell us a little bit about the equipment you played with.
Just like you said, some Rydell's. We had Rydell's basically. And I would go to the sporting goods store, get me a good old wooden stick and go at it. I mean, we had full equipment when we went to nationals in the 80s and 90s. We definitely had that full equipment. So
best roller skate was the Rydell's. The Rydell's,
yes.
those were phenomenal. Those were like the upper tier roller hockey
Yes, you're
skate that
exactly
you
right.
had to have if you were a player. Like when I was younger, I know that it was the Chicago skates, the black
Yeah,
skates that
yeah.
that did have, but the good Chicago skates that had like the rounded front, like the hockey boot in the
Mhm.
front as opposed to
The toe, the toe
the
cap.
regular. Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. But when you got older and like more serious about the game, like I'm sure we all were, if you had a pair of Rydell skates, you were a player. People
Well,
knew you were a player
Yeah.
with the
players.
crypto wheels, by the way, right? Right?
Well,
Yes,
tell us
yes.
about the wheels, guys. Tell us about the wheels and bearings that you guys had to
I guess
use and
they were the
what it
old
was
school. I
like.
guess we used Beta wheels, weren't they? Beta wheels back in
Yeah.
the day. Or
Well, are you talking inline
no,
skates? Or
no,
are you
I'm
talking
No,
talking old
you're
flats.
talking
school.
the roller skates?
What
Yeah.
kind of
Uh,
wheels were those? They had ball bearings in them,
for,
actually. Then you probably
for me,
changed a closed bearing.
for me, it was definitely the crypto wheels. You had to have them, and the Swiss bearings,
That's it.
which
Okay,
were
okay,
which went along
yeah,
with the crypto wheels. If you
okay.
bought the Swiss bearings and put them into crypto wheels, you know. You had the best that you were going to be able to have on your skates in the '80s for
So
sure.
one of the big differences between hockey on the coast and hockey in the Midwest was the type of puck you used. Now,
Oh my God!
now, right? We all use that Milac hollow puck, or you guys in New York like to use a roll of electrical tape, right?
Scotch '88. I'm so glad you said that, Steve,
Yeah.
because my coach, I had a coach in New York who, out of all the coaches I've ever had in RHI or anywhere else, any of the other major leagues, this guy was a genius. I learned more about hockey from playing from a coach named Paul Spinelli for years. And it was the Scotch '88 puck
Oh my goodness.
that we used. Even Staten Island and then the Fort Hamilton rink, it was the Scotch '88 puck. And he was so detailed with his coaching that, you know, depending upon what the weather was outside and how he figured the puck was going to behave on the Fort Hamilton surface, that's how he made, like, our third line, play. Like, he was in the coaching. That was like his system. The puck's not going to behave today. It's got to be ugly, dump it in and go get it. So the
Wow.
Scotch '88 was tradition in New York, no doubt.
Wayno,
We couldn't
what'd you
help it,
guys
man.
use?
Like Steve said, it was that orange puck, and had a guy named Mark Lisi, very good player back in his day, with his brother Bobby and Larry,
Yeah.
make these pucks. And he would stuff them with like these pellets, a little molly bolt. That's what we used. It was orange. You put black tape around it. That was quite a good puck, but it would break once in a while. You have to throw it out and throw a new one out there.
You might go through what, 5 or 6 pucks a game like
You
that.
would go through a couple, yes,
Yeah.
yes. I
Yeah.
remember shooting those Milet. Remember those black Milet pucks?
The ones that hurt, you mean? Like the
I would kill somebody if I hit him with it. They
oh
would get
yeah.
nicked up, and you could really cut somebody open with those.
Oh gosh,
Oh my
yeah.
goodness, those were dangerous.
Those tickled for sure.
Yes.
No doubt. Vince, where are you from?
So I'm in Virginia. I'm probably the younger of the group here. So
Thanks for that.
of course,
We get it
I
all the
grew up
time,
also
Jimmy.
playing the game. I unfortunately never made it pro, but I grew up a big fan of RHI. And Jimmy, I think me and you've talked over the years about trying to find some jerseys. Unfortunately, I think if I remember, you'd actually lost your Connecticut jersey. We're looking to find it. So
Somebody stole it,
yeah.
but I got it replaced.
Well,
thankfully.
that's good. Yeah, look, these things are tough to find, and I got into this, collecting the jerseys, and then, through that, talking to Steve and a name you guys might know, Adam Steele, who was also a big jersey.
Oh, I know Adam very
Yeah,
well.
unfortunately couldn't make it today. He was working, so I had to give him a little grief about not being on here for this. But like you guys are,
I'm gonna have to do that too.
yeah, and like you guys, the game here where I grew up in Virginia was never as big as New York or the West Coast. We had it for what it was at the time as a popularity. Yeah, we had teams. Lucky for me, I lived on an end of a street in a new up and coming development, so there were no cars. We had basically had a dead end. We had a high school team, but we played on a concrete gym, a basketball court, the makeshift boards. There was no door, so the ball, constantly rolled out. But
we made do with what we could. And then, RHI came along, and it was one of the greatest things that, as a hockey player we had. I grew up playing ice and got an inline, and I still do them both to this day. And that sport, like you had mentioned earlier, like Ralph, it was the first time I think a lot of kids played hockey when they saw RHI was, I could be a professional hockey player now, because
Yes.
you
Wow.
didn't require that skill of ice skating. Yeah, you still required a skill, but the mindset of young kids was, I could be a pro now without being an ice hockey player. And of course,
Without
we all
paying for
know
ice time.
sadly what happened to the league. And
Vince, I couldn't agree with you more.
Yes.
I've always said, you know, when I was a little kid, I think so many of us have the dream of being a professional athlete. And with hockey, my mom, she was great. Just thank God today's actually her birthday. But we couldn't afford ice hockey, so I grew up playing roller hockey from the age of 3. And you still always had that dream of being a professional athlete. And I was very fortunate that RHI came along at the perfect time when I was, really in my early 20s and in my athletic prime. And even now, many years later, after RHI is done, I'm blessed. I feel blessed to be able to say, I got to be a professional athlete. And I think that's why I love what Steve and what you're doing now, Joe, because I think there are millions of kids out there that have the same dream that we all had when we were younger. And if roller hockey is able to get the audience that it deserves, in my opinion, then there's a bunch of kids out there right now that are going to be able to say the same exact thing. So I really applaud what you guys are doing. Even a guy like Adam Steele, who I love, he's a big fan of roller hockey, the history of it. I remember, he started the Roller Hockey Hall of Fame. He actually has one of my jerseys that that he was nice enough to ask me to
Wait a minute,
sign.
Jimmy.
And I
Wait,
took
he
it away
told you
from
that
him.
story?
What's that?
He told you that story to get your jersey?
You
You fell for that?
you may have something there, Steve. I
You
never
fell
saw
for
an
that?
address for the Roller Hockey Hall of Fame. You may be right.
you know how many jerseys Steve got out of this story of, I'm opening the Roller Hockey Hall of Fame?
Oh,
You know what?
man.
Is that
That's
right,
actually
Vince?
he's a brilliant man. I hope that part gets cut out, but he's a brilliant.
Get off the bench.
Part 2 of this awesome episode with Jimmy Vivona and Wayne Neis is coming soon.